What's going on, people? Welcome back to the first opposition preview since the break. Looking ahead to the Bournemouth game with Matt from Cherries Red Army, and also back of the net, not Nest channel, Bournemouth channel, wearing his flags for both channels at the same time to look ahead to the game on Saturday. Massive game for both sides coming off a defeat, but I think it's a bigger game for Palace after what happened against Fulham. But Matt, thank you for coming on to the show. How would you describe your season so far? You sit, I believe, 14th in the league. You're in that space where you're not too far off the top half, but also relegation zone ain't that far off. But you've had a change of managers. Scott Parker's gone. O'Neill came in. So it's been an exciting season, full of action throughout it. But what have you made of it as a fan?
Well, first of all, Dee, thanks very much for having me on the channel. Pleasure to be here. Great to talk football with yourself. Yeah, I mean, it's a fair summing up from yourself there, Dee. It's been an eventful season, I would say, so far. One that we couldn't have foreseen at the start. We went into it with hope and optimism, but that quickly drained out of us after we lost 9-0 at Liverpool early doors. Yeah. We didn't feel that we didn't feel that we did have the squad that was maybe capable of staying up, and we weren't. The jury was still very much out on the manager. But the way he approached it and the way that he went about airing his views on that one, he obviously went about it all the wrong way. And there was only going to be one outcome, and that was going to be him out the door. You know, not so much the result at Liverpool, but just the whole public comments that he made towards the board and the owner. And then after that, you're thinking, what now? We could be in for a season of despair, really, languishing at the bottom of the league, not really picking up many points, not probably having the squad to be strong enough to compete, no manager. Where does the club go from here? So it's been, Gary O'Neill was thrust into the hot seat, really, you could say. And we didn't know what to expect. I've got a lot of respect for Gary O'Neill. I rated him as a player. I rated him as a pundit. I'd seen him a lot on TV, on radio. Very astute, very eloquent, talks very well about the game, bit of a student of the game, comes across very well, likable guy. But could he step in? Could he step up, I suppose, was the question we were all asking. And take this team, which is lacking in quality, and make us competitive. And I think overall the answer has been yes, he can. Yes, he lacks experience. Yes, he's got a lot to learn. But you have to say that the players have bought into him. He's galvanised the squad. He's brought us all together. He's created a little bit of a siege mentality. And at times he's shown that he can be a very good coach and a very good manager. Obviously, he's learning on the job. So there are times that he's got things wrong. He got it wrong again last night for me in the first half in terms of his formation, not so much the personnel, but maybe some of his tactics were a little bit questionable. We've let Leeds slip. We were 2-0 up home to Tottenham. We were 3-1 up at Leeds, and we've somehow let those leads slip. We've not managed games very well, which is down to the players as well as the manager. But overall, we have to be pleased with where we're sat, with where we were at the start of the season, the squad we had, obviously Parker leaving. We're outside of that relegation zone, and we are competitive in the division. We've got new owners come in now. They're obviously looking to take the football club forward. Big new owners with big plans. We need, either a new stadium or expansion to our stadium desperately, because we're shutting out a generation of fans. Our fan base has not been allowed to grow at all. Hopefully, we've got a new training ground, coming through as well, which will help us as a football club in terms of sustainability moving forward. An investment in the playing squad as well, Dee, which is very much needed in the second half of the season.
Sorry, when you talk about the new owners, I want to quickly get into that as well. Of course, they recently just came in. I believe was the Chelsea game, the game yesterday, the first game officially in charge. Was that
it? Was, yeah. It's been in the offing for quite a little while. I think Maxim Demin, our owner, has just taken us as far as he can. We've been on a hell of a journey, as you know, come from the depths of League Two in financial ruin. Historically, we've always been a third-tier football club, really. A League One football club probably is where we've sat in the great realm of things. But he's taken us on. He's taken us on with investment. He aligned with Eddie Howe. And between the two of them, they've taken us on this journey. But I just feel that, having got relegated from the Premier League, he couldn't invest in infrastructure. All his investment went into keeping us there in the Premier League. And what a job we did of that, along with Eddie Howe and all the staff that he had behind him. But when we got relegated, I think the club, in terms of the fan base, were questioning where we go from here. Is this the end? Do we sort of plummet down the leagues that other clubs have done? Not a bit of it. He stayed with it. He kept investing. And when he got us back up, I think there was a realisation from the owner, Maxim Demin, to think, how much further can I take this football club? You know, we're not sustainable in the Premier League with an 11,000 seater stadium, with a training ground that's not sufficient in terms of its category status and its facilities. And all I'm doing is I'm plugging the leaks here, I'm plugging the gaps, because I'm investing in the football side. But long term, I can't take it any further. So I need more investment. And he's decided to sell out to an owner now in Bill Foley, who's a multi-billionaire really, with his consortium that have come along. He's obviously done very well in the United States, in Las Vegas, with the Golden Knights hockey team. He's a shrewd and astute businessman, obviously, and he's very ambitious, and he's got big plans for the football club. So it's very exciting, but obviously there's an air of sort of trepidation, really, D, where you're going into the unknown. We've been little old Bournemouth for so many years now, and I'm 43 years old. I've only ever known us to be little old Bournemouth in the 3rd tier, or sometimes the 4th tier, occasionally the 2nd tier. And now this fella's come along with Michael B. Jordan on the board, 19 million followers on Instagram. And you're thinking, this is quite surreal, really. He's talking about big stadiums being built and training complex and big investment in the squad, and this big showpiece that's going to go on in terms of the corporate side, and which is great. It raises the profile of the club, the area, which is much needed. We're a 500,000 people conurbation in Bournemouth, Poole, Christchurch and surrounding areas. So there is untapped potential, but we're very much going into the unknown, and it just feels a bit surreal at the moment.
So what's the reaction like to the new owners? Because what tends to happen with American owners, people are like, no, we don't want them. They're going to ruin the club. Are they actually interested? Have Bournemouth fans looked into the plans, and the majority of them are, you know what, let's wait and see what happens? Or they're like, we just don't want any of it. We know that this could go horribly wrong. We were happy as it is.
No, I think predominantly the fan base are for it. I think they recognise the fact that Maxim had taken the club as far as it could get. And, I've got around this conurbation, you're constantly seeing Bournemouth shirts on young kids where they used to be Man United or Chelsea or Liverpool. They're now in Bournemouth shirts. But when you speak to these kids, or you speak to their parents or whoever it might be, they can't get to see a game. Most of our fan base now are sort of, with all due respect, middle-aged men, white Caucasian. There's no diversity amongst it. And you've probably noticed it. If you've been to the Vitality Stadium, you think 11,000, tight stadium, it should be absolutely rocking. But when you've got a sort of for want of a better phrase, a middle-aged, middle-class fan base that is locking out a generation of new supporters, and maybe potential passionate supporters that could come into the football club as kids, that's not the right way to go. We're crying out for this investment now, and for somebody to come in, see a bit of potential, and try and take the club forward to even the sort of level that you boys are at,
Yeah, look, we've got billionaire owners, but the funny thing is, talking about owners today, a report came out that we've got owners that have other football clubs as well. John Textor, he just bought Lyon in France, and he's got a club in Brazil. And apparently the club in Brazil, the staff and the players are not getting paid. So that's a bit of a breaking news right now. So let's see what happens with Palace. Sounds great. Sounds exciting. But talking about your...
That's the one. And we're very much, Bill, he's outlined his plans, and he very much wants to go down this multi-club model where he'll buy a club in France
right now,
a club in Belgium. So I'm not sure where I sit with that, to be honest. And it'll be interesting to see how it all unfolds, D.
I'm not too sure as well, because end of the day, I want someone. We have 3 owners. We've still got Steve Parish, who runs the club, but we've got the financial backing behind him. But John Textor has become more increasingly as like a serious owner at the club, alongside Steve Parish. There's Textor and Blitzer as well, but Harris and Blitzer as well. But then Textor has this model, as you said, he has a club in Belgium, he has a club in France, and he has a club in Brazil, and he has Palace as well. So it seems like there's clearly some planning going on between all these owners, and in terms of the model they want to do. There are positives to it, but then as a fan, you just want to see someone focus on your club. Right now, for example, we need transfers, and we're not hearing any serious talks of us going and buying in January. It's like loan moves, etc. I'd rather have a billionaire who just focuses on Palace than focus on like 3-4 other clubs. But that's how it is nowadays, unfortunately. That's, it's become you've seen with the Red Bull and the Man Cities, they have
big
multiple
business
clubs. It's not just
one absolutely.
We'll see how it works out. It might work out for the positive as well in the long run. But talking about your most recent game, of course, we won't talk about Palace because There's nothing much to talk about other than it was absolutely horrendous. No shots on target, 2 red cards, 3-0 defeat. You guys faced Chelsea, went over to Stamford Bridge. How was that game? It was a 2-0 defeat, but for me, it was, we talked about it before, it was just the system. And maybe this is when questions are not asked, but this is where O'Neill can improve on. You know, he's trying to figure stuff out against big sides, against holding on to leads. To be fair, you did come back against Nottingham Forest. I remember that quite a while ago.
Yeah.
So he's learning still on the job. But it wasn't quite your day against Chelsea. But what went wrong?
Well, you summed it up perfectly there, D, to be honest. I mean, Gary O'Neill has proved that he can be a quick learner. And, you know, we were linked with managers like Bielsa, you know, other such names were thrown into the mix. And obviously that didn't happen. And the new owners have plumped for O'Neill because of, you know, he's come in, I think I said earlier, you know, he's made a connection to the players. They bought into him. He's made a connection to the fan base. And he's proved that he can learn quickly on the job. The problem we've got with that, I think, D, is that he can't keep learning. You know, we have to retain our Premier League status at all costs, I think, this season. The new, you know, part of the plan with the new owners is not for us to be relegated. That's for certain. And as much as we might well bounce back, there's no guarantee, is there, in football? And who knows what might happen. So, you know, he has proved that he can learn. But again, he got it wrong last night, D, for me. He started with a back 3, which very quickly turned into a back 5. And straight away, we were on the back foot. We're camped in our own half. And I just feel like he's matched Chelsea up. He's gone to match them up, to try and stifle them, stop them playing. It's not worked at all. They absolutely rinsed us down our left. We weren't at it at all. We didn't have enough pace in attacking areas. And when you're wing backs, when you're playing that formation, as you well know, D, and everybody that's watching this, your wing backs get pinned back. You're losing the midfield battle. They've got real quality in their midfield. Once they start to dominate that midfield, our wing backs were getting deeper and deeper. We've got no outlet. And it was only a question of time, I felt, before they were going to pick us off. They did that. 1-0, quickly turned into 2-0. Could have been 3 or 4 by half-time. He got it wrong. He recognises it. So at half-time, he holds his hands up clearly and thinks, right, I've got it wrong. I'm going to switch to what we know, which is a back 4. We're going to go 4-5-1, which turns into a 4-3-3 offensively. Second half, we were so much better. We introduced a young lad of ours, Jadon Anthony, who's got real pace up top. And we caused them problems. We had a few moments. We had a few opportunities ourselves. And arguably, probably the better side second half. But unfortunately, the game is lost. The game has been lost in the first 45 minutes. So he's got some learning to do, and he'll continue to have learning to do, Gary O'Neill, but he's going to have to do it and continue to do it very, very quickly.
I'll be honest, the fact that he changed up at halftime, second half, you guys did play better. I know you didn't create that many chances, but you looked more comfortable in the new. I think you went to a back 4 as well. That's positive. Yeah. You know, that's what you want to see from a manager. Even though he gets it wrong now, the fact that he's able to react quickly, not wait on, because some managers, you see it, they just have plan A. But with O'Neill, maybe the downside is you might think too much about it, and you might see system changes all along, and then it kind of backfires. But I feel like the foundations there for a manager is quite good. You know, if it builds on that and gets more experience as he manages in the Premier League, I think you'll only get better. So in the long run, I think it would benefit you having a manager like this, a manager that can also react and changes before games. And if it doesn't work, he can do quick changes throughout the game as well. But talking about Bournemouth as a whole, what's been your main strengths and weaknesses that we have to watch out for on a weekend?
I would say our weakness is that we're not clinical enough in both boxes. So our recent weakness for me has been game management. Really, we haven't had too much of an issue up till the last few games in putting the ball in the back of the net. But what we are still doing is we're creating a lot. We've been creating a lot of chances. Leeds away, for example, Tottenham at home. But we had moments within those games where we're in the driving seat. We've got the game by the scruff of the neck, and we're not killing it off. You'll get that chance to absolutely kill a game. At Leeds, I think we went 2-1 up. We've had chances to make it 3-1, 4-1. We eventually make it 3-1. But again, we were so dominant in the football match that we've not made those moments count. And then at the back, there's always a sort of a vulnerability. There's question marks over our goalkeeper's a young goalkeeper, Mark Travers. And one criticism you could levy at him is that obviously he's inexperienced at this level and he doesn't sometimes command his box well enough. You know, he'll make the odd error. He'd never let us down for a moment last season in the Championship. He was absolutely phenomenal. But stepping up to this level, we've got a goalkeeper called Neto, who we brought in from Barcelona, who really offers us that that command and experience that you need, and that real nous and know-how from a proper seasoned goalkeeper at this level. Mark Travers lacks that, not his fault, but that is a vulnerability that you could possibly exploit. And I think we're fairly solid. We're missing Chris Metham yesterday, who's been very, very solid for us, Welsh international, and he's been like a breath of fresh air. No nonsense defending from him this season. But there is that vulnerability within the back four that we are going to ship goals. We're never really look like we're going to keep a clean sheet too often, as much as Gary O'Neill would like us to. He's very pragmatic at times, O'Neill's. He wants us to be solid. He wants us to stay resolute. And we'll do that for maybe 70, 75 minutes. But game management and switching off at times is probably a weakness. In terms of strengths, we've shown we're missing Marcus Tavernier, who's been a revelation in recent weeks. He came to us and he was lacking, I felt, an end product. He had the pace, and he would carry the ball. He would beat a man. He would link up with the forward players really well. But once he got into the box, he was somewhat lacking. His final ball was poor, or his final delivery, his shot would be poor. It would all break down. It'd all be very disappointing. And we seem to have a few players like that. But he's come on in recent weeks. He's really developed. He's shown that he's got that end product. He showed it at Leeds. He showed it against Everton as well. I think he showed it against Tottenham. So he's shown that it is there. But he's missing at the moment. We're not quite sure how long he's out for at the moment. But he looks a doubt for Saturday's game. So he would be one to worry about if he comes back into it. Obviously, you've got Dom Solanke, who 30 goals last season in the Championship, does a lot of work off the ball, a lot of running off the ball, links up play, a lot of unsung work. But he knows where the back of the net is as well. If you give him an opportunity, he will stick it in the back of the net. And I think Kiefer Moore's been playing up top with Dom. And it'll be all about how you handle Kiefer Moore. I think Chelsea had him in their pocket last night, to be fair. They managed him very well. We were trying to hit long balls towards him, and he was getting no change out of their back three, to be honest, last night. But if you let him dominate you in defence, and he's proved that he can be a real threat, but not just in the air, but he's fairly good on the floor as well. And he'll link play, and he'll bring players like Billing, Tavernier and Solanke into the game. So that's probably a summation, really, of a bit about our strengths and weaknesses, really, dear, about where we're at this moment in time.
Look, thankfully, we'll have Mark Gahey back, because if it was James Tompkins again in defence against Kiefer Moore, it could have been another long afternoon for us. But thankfully, Mark Gahey should be back in the next game. But talking about Palace side of things, what players are you most worried about?
Well, look, I think with Palace, you always know what you're going to get. Even with the new manager Vieira coming in, he likes to play a sort of 4-3-3 formation. I know there's variations on that. He loves his 4-3-3, and I think the threats that you pose in the offensive areas. I know we spoke off air, Dee, didn't we, about you not being a bit shot shy at the moment and not creating the opportunities, and the shots on target are sadly lacking. And I was really surprised when I watched your Fulham game. I watched the highlights and I was surprised at the scoreline. I was surprised how the game unfolded, really. It was sort of uncharacteristic Palace performance in many ways, and the two sendings off really sum that up. Because what you've always got from Palace, particularly at home, as we all know, you create that atmosphere, difficult place to play. Palace are always in your face, aren't they? And they always get about you. They'll press, and they're always offensive. They open the game up, and when you've got players like Zaha up top, Eze, Elise, you've got real quality, even AU in those forward areas. So that offensively does frighten me, because at some point you are going to click back into gear in offensive areas. I feel you're going through a bit of a barren spell at the moment, but Vieira will get that clicking again. Zaha is always a worry for us. He always turns up agained us.
That's what everyone says every week on Opposition Preview. He always turns up against.
I think there's always been. We've got a player called Adam Smith at fullback, and he's a bit of a fire.
I know. It's going to be exciting. I saw it.
Yeah.
Them two always go at it.
Them two. Always. He's an ex-Tottenham lad, Adam Smith. He's a Londoner, and he's been with us years and years and years. But him and Zaha, every time, going at it, hammer and tong. And I hate to say it, but he's generally got the better of Smithy on many occasions. And I think if that happens tomorrow, then we could be in a bit of trouble. So that's probably where I'm most worried, because I just feel that at some point you're going to click into gear again, and hoping it's not on Saturday, shall I say.
So you're talking about a bit of worry, but let's go to score predictions. What do you actually think is going to happen? You're at home, of course, Saturday afternoon. Palace, no shots on target in the last two games. Are you confident that you could still get a result?
Yeah, I'm confident. I'm expecting a reaction from ourselves, but I'm expecting a reaction from you boys as well. I feel that I listened to Patrick Vieira after the game. I've got a few Palace friends actually that I keep in touch with, so we'll be having some banter on Saturday. But I listened to his post-match reaction, and he wasn't impressed with the whole display, to be honest, with in terms of discipline, in terms of the performance on the field as well. So I'm expecting a big reaction from Palace. So it is a worry, but I think from our point of view, Gary O'Neill has to treat this game like he did the Everton game. The two Everton games that we had going into the World Cup break, we had one in the Cup against them and one in the league. We won 1-4-1 in the Cup and 1-3-0 in the league. Yes, it was a poor Everton side, but the way he approached those games was as if his life and our lives depended on it, because he really wanted to get the job and he really wanted to keep us out of that relegation zone. So those two games probably got him the job on a full-time basis. And I feel like he has to approach Saturday's game against Palace in the same way as he did against the Everton game. We need to come out. We need to be offensive. We need to be at it from the off. We need to press. We need to be in your faces. We need to make it difficult and uncomfortable for you, and really go at you and open the game up a little bit and go for it. I think you might well do the same. So I think we could be in for a cracker, to be honest, D. I think we really could.
Yeah. Well, look, my score prediction is going to be 1-0. I'll probably take a point at this point. If you look at the bigger picture, we just need somewhere to start off, like literally shot on target, getting a point, and then building from that. So if it's a 0-0, 1-0, but I feel like there will be goals in the game.
Yeah.
In a way, I could see it being a very exciting game in terms of lots of goals. But I think after what happened against Fulham, I'm pretty sure we'll make sure that we keep it tight and maybe try to hit you guys on the counter. I don't know if we're going to be pressing or not. It's interesting because we haven't got the personnel in midfield. Ever since we lost Conor Gallagher, we've struggled in there. Yeah, so it depends on who really plays. But I'm going to go for 1-0. What's your score prediction?
I'm going to go. I'm always going to be positive as a Bournemouth fan. I said 1-1 against Chelsea, and that was me being positive. I would have taken the point. But we're at home. It's a big game for us. Games against Palace have ebbed and flowed. I think we've won a couple. You've certainly won your fair share as well. They've generally been entertaining games. I know we've had a couple of dull ones, but there's generally been goals, hasn't there? And there's been incident. There's been talking point. I'm going to go for the same again. I'm going to say that we're going to win 2-1, but I'm going to say that it's going to be a cracker of a game. Plenty of opportunities, some goals, some talking points. Hopefully we come out on the on the right side of it. But I think anything could happen in this one. Anything could happen.
Yeah, look, it should be an exciting game. It should be. Every time we face each other, there's always drama.
There's always drama,
especially with Wilf and
the
likes of Adam Smith. So I'm expecting an exciting game. But yeah, hopefully we manage to get something out of the game. But I know it's not going to be easy because you guys are going to be up for it after the Chelsea game. But thank you, Matt, for joining the channel for this preview. Where can you find your work? I know you're on Cherries Red Army and also Back of the Net as well.
Yeah, so if you go onto YouTube, type in Cherries Red Army, it should come up. There'll be lots of content on there, and the same with Back of the Net as well. Back of the Net is the bigger channel, so they've probably got 9,000 or 10,000 subscribers. Cherries Red Army is a secondary channel really to Back of the Net, but we're a growing channel and we have some great debate. There's some great lads in amongst Cherries Red Army, 1,400 subscribers, and we have an opposition view as well, so it'd be great to get a Palace fan on. Maybe for our preview and in the reverse fixture as well. So we talk about a whole host of things, and we have some great debate and some good banter as well. So worth checking out, definitely.
All right, then. Thank you to Matt. Thanks to everyone who's also watched this. If you have enjoyed it, make sure to smash that like button and subscribe to not miss out on future Palace content. And until next time, up the Palace.